I feel like the last couple of years you've like purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. But I don't want to live in the Civil War country.
I agree with that.
You know what? But you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, this is a blue state and that's a red state.
You got folks out there trying to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. America in reverse, rolling back voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, not just access to abortion, but contraception. I mean, it's a profound and consequential moment. And you could sit by and say, well, I really want to get along, as these guys are rolling back the clock.
The governor gave this creepy speech where he was talking about speculators coming in and talking about what to do with the land of all these homes that have been burnt down.
We're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties.
While it's still only 6% contained, and he did this little dance.
Bill Maher and Gavin Newsom went head-to-head on Real Time with Bill Maher in a fiery exchange that no one saw coming, including me. Sure, Maher has been calling out woke warriors and left-wing politics for months, but I never expected him to put Newsom on the ropes like this. Maher didn't just challenge the California governor. He cornered him, pushing Newsom into a relentless back and forth that felt more like a heavyweight showdown than a political debate. And trust me, it was an all-out slugfest. So, how did it all go down? Who held their ground? Stick around to find out. Now, let's roll the clip. Just listen to the shock in the audience as Maher fires off tough questions while Newsom scrambles for a way out.
Good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American-owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win. What do you say to that if you could win look at the swing states. There's only 8 of them.
Right. Well, I mean, California is an interesting case study, isn't it? It's the size of 21 state populations combined.
Yeah.
2/3 of the state is very deeply red. We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues of the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language. You're not able to communicate. And you're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
It's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government there?
If you listen closely, you can hear the audience gasp because, let's be real, no one expected Maher to put Newsom in such a tight spot. You can see the shock flicker across Gavin's face, the slight stutter in his voice as he scrambles for a response. Maher had him locked in, like a cat toying with an increasingly nervous mouse. Except, in this case, the mouse had a hair gel sponsorship and fewer escape routes by the second. But, as seasoned politicians do, Newsom found his way out, and he didn't waste a moment seizing it. Let's dive into his response, and then I'll break it all down with my take.
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they were the ones making a case for that. They were making us. They're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know the top priorities are homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes, which are all top of mind. But I get how those things are weapons.
The question was straightforward. Does Newsom believe the government is overreaching by mandating that toy retailers with over 500 employees include a gender-neutral section? A simple yes or no would have sufficed, but of course, that would be too easy. Instead, California's governor took us on a scenic detour, rambling about how department stores supposedly support the idea.
Sure.
Even if that were true, it completely sidesteps the actual question. Classic move. This is what happens when politicians, especially those on the left, try to justify government overreach. They twist, spin, and dodge like they're playing a game of political twister, hoping no one notices the contradictions. But Maher wasn't about to let him off the hook that easily. Watch how he starts by buttering up Newsom, only to pull the rug right out from under him.
Enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then whenever I read, 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds.
Right.
No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds. We grow a boatload of
I'm
almonds
well
here.
aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Yeah. Come on, man. Take on big almond.
Take on big almonds.
I mean, it's not like we don't have the water.
Maher starts with just a touch of praise, just enough to make Newsom shift uncomfortably in his chair, like he knows what's coming. And he's right. Was that an awkward chuckle from the audience? Yep, they felt it too. They could see their golden boy was about to walk straight into a rhetorical buzzsaw. Newsom, ever the polished politician, was gearing up for his big mic drop moment, but Maher got there first. And when it landed, it wasn't just a mic drop. It was a full-blown wrecking ball. The governor flailed. The audience cringed. And Maher? He just leaned back and watched it all unfold.
I'm good at this job. Okay.
Another tough question for Maher. For years, California politicians have sounded the alarm on water shortages, insisting the state's rivers just can't keep up. But here's the twist. Investigations have shown there's plenty of water. So, what's the real culprit? Almonds. Yes, almonds, of all things, are guzzling a staggering 80% of it. That's more water than all indoor household consumption combined. And their contribution to California's economy? A mere 2%. Maher didn't hold back. He hit Newsom with a direct, no-nonsense question. What is your office actually doing to fix this? And that's when Newsom went full politician, dodging the issue like he was auditioning for Dancing with the Stars.
Extreme years with these atmospheric rivers. Wets are getting a lot wetter, dry's drier, hot's getting a lot hotter. And so we've got to modernize our conveyance system. We've got to modernize our storage, not just above ground, but below ground. And so that's a big part of our focus and frame, including desalinization plants. We have 20 projects just on desal that we're working on today. So we put out a detailed water strategy that includes, by the way, getting that Delta Conveyance project back up and operational, and includes the first above ground off-stream storage facility in half a century in the state, which, by the way, is being aided by a regulatory package I pushed forward to reduce red tape in the state of California and address the permitting quagmires that you rightfully pointed out.
Did you catch the verbal gymnastics? Because I sure did. Maher's question was crystal clear. What is Newsom actually going to do about the almond industry draining California's water supply? But instead of giving a straight answer, Newsom danced around it like a pro. Rather than addressing the fact that nearly all of California's water is funneled into an industry that contributes just 2% to the state's GDP, he launched into a perfectly rehearsed monologue about rainwater storage and vague conservation efforts. Classic misdirection. This is straight out of the political playbook. When faced with an uncomfortable truth, dodge, distract, and drown the conversation in jargon. But Maher wasn't having it. Neither was the audience. You could see it in his smirk. Say what you will about Maher, but this is why people respect him. He doesn't just question talking points. He tears them apart. And if this interview proved anything, it's that when political contradictions are exposed, some narratives crumble faster than a gluten-free cookie in a Berkeley cafe.
I'm good at this job. Okay.
Yes, Newsom is a master at sidestepping tough questions, which is exactly why he carefully curates his media appearances, steering clear of platforms that might actually challenge him. Can't have that, right? Maher's tone says it all. His sarcasm is practically dripping, his voice laced with skepticism. It's clear he sees Newsom as just another polished politician. All style, no substance. The kind of leader who can talk in circles for hours without actually saying anything. The type who delivers empty rhetoric with such conviction that even he might start believing it. But here's the thing, Maher isn't fooled. And neither is the audience, judging by their reaction. And just when you think Newsom's spin couldn't get any worse, his next statement takes it to a whole new level.